Hello, 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 everybody. Put me on here. Oh, it's so good to be back. It's been a while, hasn't it? Here on Saturday Chat Live, June 17th, 2023. I hope you are all doing well wherever you are in the world. So, as always, if you're watching, obviously if you're watching, you're watching. But let me know where you're watching from. I like to know kind of where everyone's at, and then we'll get the sort of chat sort of started. All right. And I'll put comments and questions and stuff up on the screen. So if you're new here, the way this works is I usually go 30 to 60 minutes, depending on how the conversation goes and what I have to share and what you want to talk about. That's sort of the time frame. I have things to do. You have things to do. So I don't want to waste your time just loitering around here and listen to me babble. So we kind of keep that time frame the best we can. So if you have any comments, questions, or whatever else, please put those in the chat and I will get to those as soon as I can. If I cannot answer it here live, because it's maybe a complicated question or something I have to look into, then we can touch base maybe offline and I can do my best to answer the question, once the live stream ends, and I can do a bit more work into that. So, what's been going on? It's been about a month since we've had a live stream. As I said then, during the summer, when school is out, educational channels like mine have sort of a lull during the summer when school is out. So it's a good time to kind of work on some other projects, which I have been, I'll talk about here in a second, and just do some other things while school is out. So I'll probably be doing the next live stream 1 month from today, which I think is July 15th, I believe. So watch out for that. All right. So in the chat, let me know what you have been doing, whatever comments, questions you have, and we'll answer them as we go. So I want to talk about what I've been doing, because that's presumably why part of the reason why you were here. So as of right now, I am kind of in the background working on some new videos, but what I'm primarily doing now is drinking from the fire hose of AI. So I'm kind of using this summer to really learn as much as I can about AI, how to code some basic things, how to use the Open API service, and do things like that. So I've been really, really working on that the past month to educate myself on how all this works. I have always wanted to learn Python, so now's a good time, right? So I've been doing that as well. And I'm going to share here in a second some of the resources on YouTube I have found that have helped me learn this. Because I think I would assume that if you're a fan of this channel and watch this channel regularly or when new content is released, you are definitely more in the space of wanting to learn more about artificial intelligence. You're sort of primed for that. So what I have been doing is trying to think about how to merge all of this together. And I'm sure like later down the road, I'll be able to do that. But I want to share with you some of the things that I've been doing and some of the things that I've been working on. So if you are one of those people who really wants to learn more about this, but aren't quite sure where to start, then today I'll kind of share with you a little bit about how I've approached this as someone who is not a coder. And then what I can do is share that with you. All right. So what have I been, some of the resources I want to share with you. All right. Okay. So I'll put these in the chat so you can follow them if you want. So if you're interested in learning more about artificial intelligence and also how to build some basic applications around it, these are some of the ones that I found that have been very helpful, at least in my learning style. There are other YouTubers out there that do content around artificial intelligence, but they speed read and just blow through it. It's like a contest to see how fast we can get through something instead of just taking the time to learn it, which drives me nuts. So these are resources that sort of teach and explain in the way that I like, which I would think is probably the way that you like since you were here. So one of the first resources I found for learning about artificial intelligence, which I think might be helpful to you, is a channel called Prompt Engineering. So this channel covers LLMs, large language models, how to code some basic ones, and also deals with other type stuff around images and video and stuff like that. So um, prompt engineering, which is at Engineer Prompt, is a great resource I want to share with you. By the way, if you have any that you've come across, make sure you put those in the chat as well. It could be a book, could be a YouTube channel, could be something else that you have seen that's helped you if you are learning this. And again, if you're not learning this but you're thinking about it, this is just a way for you to get sort of started. Sam is another great channel, which I'll paste in here. And I will put these in the description of the live stream after it's done. So as you can see, I've been watching these. I've been learning a lot of this through a platform, an add-in or a package. It's a package, not an add-in. A package for Python called Langchain. So Langchain is an amazing package for Python that allows you to implement these sorts of things in very, very little code. And then the code that you do have to type is very high abstraction. It makes sense, sort of what it is doing, right? So I would encourage you, if you want to get into learning more about artificial intelligence and how you can code up very simple things, even if you are not, like me, a coder by nature, these are good places to start. And Langchain is probably the best place to start. And the best way I can explain Langchain is that it's a set of tools in Python that allows you to do everything from importing documents, turning those documents into text, turning all that text into chunks. You have to split up long text into chunks, using OpenAI's embeddings to turn it into a vector of numbers that have semantic meaning, and then how to connect to the OpenAI service, the API key. And then you can do things. You can prompt OpenAI, you can have it look at your documents, and you can ask questions to your own personal documents, which is pretty cool. You can create rudimentary sort of chat bots if you like. There's Notable also has a very good plugin through ChatGPT that you might want to explore. It is crazy. There's so much cool stuff. But Sam here does a lot of work with Langchain, as you can see here. And I found his sort of walkthroughs and tutorials very, very helpful as well. So if you want to learn more about this, this is a great resource for you as well. Next one I want to show you, and this list is not exhaustive. These are just some of the ones that I go to regularly. There are other ones I do watch, but these are the ones probably I go to the most. And I'll show you another resource that has these, where you can find the whole list of resources. So another one that I found extremely helpful is Alejandro. I think he's based in Paris, I believe. Relatively new channel, I think, but you can see that it's really grown, because of what he does here. So what I like about Alejandro, the way he sort of walks through everything, is that he takes his time and explains everything, so you know exactly what's sort of going on here, what's going on there. Some of the processes he uses as he codes things, you'll learn things like within Python itself, and he explains them. Very laid back, sort of approach to how he teaches these things. You can see I've watched pretty much all of them here. I've actually watched this one too, but I'm not sure why it's not red. So this is a really good channel if you need or like a sort of a slower sort of introduction, a pace to learning about these things. And I'll tell you, another thing he does, which is really good, which was great here, was this one right here. So he has this video here on a setting up your Python environment to do this stuff. Like I said, I am not a coder. I'm not someone who's in Visual Studio really at all. I've messed around with Jupyter notebooks here and there, but the way this is explained to set up your entire Python environment, it just sets you up and you're ready to roll. So he does it for Mac, but the Windows stuff is very easy to follow too. So he kind of says download this and create this virtual environment, and you can go from there. So I really, really like his stuff because of he takes his time. You can see his videos are like, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour in some cases. So this is another great one I can recommend, especially if you like a laid back sort of style and you're just starting out. This Python setup video is a great one if you're just starting out and want to set up a really good working environment. Also how to connect it to GitHub. So at some point I'll share my GitHub work with everybody and you can go in there and look at it. All right. So Alejandro is great. Greg is another fantastic resource. You can see here. I've watched all these. That's why they're all red there. So he has a lot of really practical examples of how to use Langchain in Python to actually create apps where you can do practical things. Okay. So, how to basically recreate ChatGPT, but not use ChatGPT. You use the OpenAI API key, and you can actually, in your terminal in Python, talk to it the same way you would in ChatGPT that has the fancy interface. How to talk to your documents, how to import data. In this case, how to connect to Wolfram Alpha, which is really cool. How to go out and use the YouTube API, which I'll be doing, to grab the transcripts, and you can like summarize them. You can create bullet points from them. You can do all kinds of things with YouTube transcripts using the YouTube API, which is pretty cool. So he has a lot of really, really good practical examples on how to use Langchain and Python to do these very useful type things. And he uses Jupyter notebooks, so you can follow everything like cell by cell on how he does things. Whereas like Alejandro and some of the other resources actually code in Python, and then they might use another Python package called Streamlit. And Streamlit is a Python package that creates this really nice web user interface around your Python app, whatever it might be. But Alejandro and I think prompt engineering, they actually go into Python and code like in raw Python, whereas Greg and some of the other channels use Jupyter notebooks where you can go cell by cell. I'm pretty sure, I do think all of them have links to their GitHub repos, so you can actually go in there. You can clone it or get the code and copy and paste it or compare it to what your work is. And it's been extremely, extremely helpful. So I'll copy this and paste it in the channel as well. Right there. So, excuse me. And what I might do at some point, like maybe next month or whatever, I'll have some more things that I've been working on that are more complete, and I can demo them, kind of show you how I did them if you want, like live, because they're so easy. What cracks me up, well, what scares me and cracks me up and amazes me about all of this is just how easy it is. It's so easy. If you can, follow instructions and know how to open a Jupyter notebook, you can do all this yourself. It amazes me that it's so easily accessible. And because of Python packages like Langchain, it makes it so easy to implement, whether you're hard coding it like in raw Python or using Jupyter notebooks or whatever else. You can do a complete working app in like 30 lines of code, 10 of which are imports. It just bonkers to me how easy and accessible this type of stuff is. So, so those are some of the ones that I have been using. And of course, there are LinkedIn courses that are really, really good. I have a public playlist on LinkedIn. Let's see if I can find it real fast. I'll paste that for you too. What I did is I curated a bunch of, oh, that's easier. You know what I'll do? I will just switch to my other screen. I curated a list of artificial intelligence courses on LinkedIn, created a playlist, and then I made it publicly visible. And so I'll share that with you all. Now, if you have access to LinkedIn Learning, it is really, really cool to go through this. So let me share the link for you. That's why we're here, right? I want to help you all learn and give you resources. That's what the channel is about. So that's that. So it might be too long. Why do they make the links that long? That's silly. Look at that's crazy. Okay, well, I'll put it in the description if that link probably doesn't work. Okay, so go back to this screen. So yeah, so that's basically what I've been sort of working on the past, 4 weeks, is really trying to get up to speed on as much AI stuff as possible, because it is here. It's not coming. It is here. It will impact all of our jobs, our careers, our lives, our schooling. It's unavoidable. So the way to deal with that is to learn about it. So that's what I've been doing, and that's what I'm going to continue to do this summer. And I'll hopefully pop out a YouTube video here and there, and then get back to that a bit more when school starts. But that is what I have been doing. So, all right, I wanted to get that out of the way. So peace. Piper. Hey, Piper, hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Sean, good to see you again. Good to see you, Sean, if you're still here. So sorry if I'm putting up everyone's comments a little bit later, but I wanted to make sure I got that the AI resources out of the way first for everybody, and then I can come back to other stuff. All right. So what comments, questions, whatever do you have? Put those in the chat. Tell me what you're working on. What maybe you are doing in the AI space, if anything, or how you're sort of thinking about how it might impact you, your career, your school, your family, society, and everything else. I'd be interested to know sort of what you think about that, because not only that will that help direct the channel, it'll help. We will be able to help each other find resources if we sort of want them. Okay. While I'm waiting for any comments there, I also want to share it with you, the resource I shared last time, I think. So futuretools.io is it's a YouTuber, Matt Wolf. He has a great YouTube channel that talks about AI news, but he also has a great website called Future Tools, where he collects all kinds of, a bunch of AI tools that are floating around out there. And then you can select which ones that you're interested in maybe looking at based off whatever your needs are. Okay. So these are all different like platforms and different tools and stuff that people have come out with. And like I said, you can filter them with boxes and so on and so forth. So it's called futuretools.io. I put the link in the description, but this is a great place to test things out. And they do have ratings and stuff, or votes. So over here on the right, you can see that a lot of these have really high upvotes, and those are the ones maybe you want to check out first because they've kind of been, I won't say they've been vetted, but people like them enough to go ahead and give them an upvote. Okay, so you can check those out. And as you can see, there is a bazillion. And that's what that leads to what I was saying before, is that developing these things are so easy now because one, Python's an easy language to work with, of course, but the levels of abstraction now are so high that you can just import part of a package in Python and it does like all the heavy lifting for you. All right. And because it's so easy to do, that's why these tools like you see here proliferate, because they're really easy to make. Okay. Especially if you have a coding background, So make sure you check that out if you would like. All right. Let me hide that. I think there was one more thing maybe I wanted to show everybody. Where is that at? For example, here's an example of one that I found very helpful because it is education based. That's a bad place to stop it. So, but basically, this video tells you how you can use OpenAI or ChatGPT. Those are two different things, by the way. Same company, but two different implementations. But you can actually use this open source tool called Anki and a tool like ChatGPT or through the API and create your own set of flashcards. Because basically what you do is you give it a piece of content and you tell it, create Anki flashcards in this format, and then it goes and just generates them, and you import them in here, and it creates flashcards, and it's spaced repetition flashcards. So at the bottom, the way it works, if I can find maybe towards the end when he pulls it up. Yeah, here we go. The way this works is that you can tell it, down here at the bottom, you can see here, you can tell Anki, once you have the questions made and the prompts made using ChatGPT, you import them into Anki, and then if a question comes up that you find easy, you just press this button that says easy, and then it won't bring that one up as much again. If you say it's really difficult, then it'll make sure to bring that question back up. Say if you got it wrong or you find the concept difficult, it'll label that as hard, and it'll make sure to come back. So it's like have you ever heard of Sarago? It's kind of like a Sarago type tool, but this is all open source. It's free. So here's one like educational example, and there are a bazillion. One of the books I'm reading right now are all the ways that we can use these tools to enhance education. So that's what I'm really focusing on also. So yeah, so there's all these different tools out there. Yeah, absolutely. Let me pull this up. Yeah, so Josh says, I used Anki while I was in college, great software. Absolutely. And what we're kind of finding out is that tools like a ChatGPT, or if you're going in through the API, which I would encourage everybody here, if you don't have it, get your own OpenAI like API key, set a low, you'll have to like put like a credit card or whatever else in there, but you can set a limit, like it won't go over $10 or $5 if you want to set it that low. It's like a cap, right? So even if you go crazy and like dump a book in there, an entire book, it won't go over that $10 limit for that billing period. But everyone should get their OpenAI key, and that way you can interface with it directly, not through ChatGPT. But back to my original point, like Josh says here, what we're finding out is that what these tools can do, whether it's ChatGPT, the interface, or through the OpenAI API, and you're doing it like yourself in Python or whatever, it can create output that serves as completely properly formatted input to a tool like Anki. And then you can create hundreds and hundreds of flashcards to use in Anki, because it knows how to take a piece of content and format flashcard Anki sort of pairs, like question answer, and can just spit them out like that. And then you can bring them into this open source piece of software, and you have this tool where you can quiz yourself. It's awesome, right? It's just so cool. It's just one implementation. And in this case, it's not doing the learning for you. It's actually facilitating the learning, because it's doing like this grunt work of creating the pairs of like question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. It's kind of doing the grunt work of that, so you can then put it into the tool and use the tool to quiz yourself. You're not spending your time doing all the question answer pairs for Anki. You're spending your time on the flashcards, right? So this is just one example. There are so many examples, like the PDF and document reader examples. You can drop in a PDF of like a scientific article that's really dense and really hard to sometimes understand because they obviously write in sort of academia ease. But you can put that in there. You can have it summarize it. You know, have it go in and say, summarize the results section or whatever else. Okay. So many cool ways to use these tools that you can actually build yourself, even if you're not a coder. If you can follow the directions on the channels that I put in the chat and I'll put in the description of this video, if you can follow just instructions and you have an OpenAI key, and that's not the only LLM, I know that, but that's the one we're familiar with, you can do it. It's bonkers. I couldn't believe how easy it was. And of course, you're learning coding along the way. That's the other benefit, right? You're learning coding along the way. It's also a great community to be a part of. A lot of these individuals, obviously Python is open source. Langchain is anything part of Python like that is open source. So it's all like a community of people that are involved in these things, and you get to be part of that community if you want. Some of the channels that I watch, I've messaged them and thanked them for their great work, and it's been really cool. So just get into it, get into it. You either ride the wave or you drown. So I'm choosing to ride the wave and learn everything I can and share with you all the resources I've come across that I have found helpful. Okay. All right. Arif. Hello, Brandon. Hello, Arif. Hello. Happy to see you again. When will you upload new videos about the time series analysis? Your explanations are great. Thank you. Arif, good question. So I can't tell you exactly when that will be. I can tell you that I am working on a video on autoregression, autocorrelation. But I'm having to balance that out with what I'm showing you here, which is trying to learn all the AI stuff I can. And of course, my day job and everything else. So there is a video in progress, but I cannot tell you exactly when it will be released. I kind of have to do things as they come up and prioritize, stuff like that. Like I said at the beginning, during the summer months here where I'm at, it's the summer months. There just aren't nearly as many viewers on educational type channels, and educational type channels as there are, in the fall and spring. So it might be in a month, it might be later than that. I don't know. But I have everything ready. It's like the PowerPoint is pretty much ready. The data I have is ready. I've done the calculations, everything. Really, I'm at the step of putting everything together. But the AI thread is a thread I have to pull for as long as I can, because it impacts my daily life. It impacts my 9-to-5 job. It impacts my YouTube work. It impacts everything, right? So the AI stuff is the thread I am pulling now, knowing that I will get back to some of the time series stuff that I was working on before. But you just have to go where the path leads. And right now, the path is leading to me drinking from the fire hose of AI. And I mean that literally. I spend every waking moment learning this stuff. So if I'm not at work, if I'm not sleeping, I'm pretty much learning this. I don't know what, 4, 5, 6, 8 hours a day. So today, once I sign off the live stream, I'll pack up my computer, probably head up to the coffee shop for an hour or two, do some work up there. Then I'll come home, do some work, because it's a beautiful day outside here. It's like 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Beautiful day. So I'll come back here, but I'll continue to do that sort of work. That's what I'm doing now. But I will. So Arif, my YouTube channel has always been that way. It kind of comes in batches, depending on other things I have to work on. But, but I think that's why my YouTube channel has lasted so long, is because things come up and things happen where I have to focus on something for a little bit longer, and it gives me a natural break. and then I don't burn out. So because I have these sort of natural breaks when something comes up like an AI or a COVID or whatever else, there's natural breaks that are built into the way I make content, and that's why it's lasted so long, you know. Um, because too many YouTubers just get completely burned out because they just try to do too much in too little time, um, and that's not how I want to do it. Okay. So long answer is, when will I do it? Not quite sure. Will I do it? Absolutely. So just stay posted, and I will do the best I can. All right. Okay. What else did I want to show you real fast? Yeah, this is one I did.
If you have a bunch of PDF files and you want to have a conversation, then
Let's
just
see
like
here,
you
pull
can
this
have
up.
a conversation with ChatGPT about.
So another thing that's great about these channels, this is the prompt engineering channel I want to share with you. Not only are they going into either Python directly encoding it or using a Jupyter notebook environment to do it, the ones that I have suggested to you also tell you, like, conceptually what the hell's going on. So here is a very sort of famous diagram um, that everyone that does this stuff uses, and it shows you how it works. Like, this is a PDF reader application. So how you have your PDF files, you get the text and stuff out of them. You take all that text and split it into different chunks. Then you take those smaller chunks and embed them using the OpenAI embeddings. And of course, that builds what's called the semantic index, which is just a ginormous um, set of vectors that are numbers that have semantic meaning. Then you use your knowledge base, which can be locally. One's called FAISS, FAISS. There are others. Pinecone is one that is in the cloud. It's very popular. But it actually shows you how this all works relative to the user, right? And the user asks a question. Then they query the embeddings, in this case in the OpenAI model. It looks for semantic search against your knowledge base, results, works with the generative AI, and comes back to you. So what a lot of these channels do that I'm recommending to you, is they also explain what is going on behind the scenes when you work on this stuff. It's not just someone, slapping out a bunch of code and not telling you what it's actually doing. All right. Like Alejandro has blog posts that go with all of his videos. So you also have another, and of course they all have their GitHub repositories. So if you really want to understand what's going on behind the scenes and how these things sort of work, and at least learn how to speak the language, which is part of it, right? These are all the resources I can recommend to you. Again, I put them in the chat, but I'll also put them in the description after the video. We can go check this stuff out, and you can begin to understand, to speak the language, and maybe go in and build some of your own tools that you can play around with. If I can do it, a coding, I call myself a coding idiot, you can do it. And I encourage you to do it. It's awesome. When you get this stuff working, it looks like magic. It's like Gandalf the wizard is like boop, and like it looks like magic when you see it actually working behind the scenes. So definitely check out those, and then what will happen is, as you watch these channels that I've put in the description and in the chat, other ones will pop up that are also very good, because there are others that I didn't show you just because of time, and get into them. Absolutely, positively, get into them. Okay. All right. So I'm still here. All right. So what questions do you have? I've been blabbing for like 30 minutes. I've fire hosed information around what I'm working on in the AI space to you, but I'm interested in what questions or thoughts you have. Does not have to be about that. It can be about anything related to the channel or whatever else is going on. Sorry, my nose itches. Get a drink of water. While I wait to see if anyone has a question, the other one I wanted to show you. is this one. All right, so this one is really cool. So if you have not heard of Notable, you'll want to check out Notable. So best way I can explain Notable, if you're not familiar with it, is Notable is like this is an online platform that works a lot like a Jupyter notebook. It has cells that you can execute, code in, and gives the output. It's also a lot like Google Colab. So you can actually have your own files in that environment that you can work with. So if you have a PDF in there, a text file, a CSV file in there, you can connect to databases through it, other API type services. So it's kind of like Jupyter Notebook, and Google Colab, which are obviously basically the same thing, but you have access to files that you can then work with. So the way this video blew my freaking mind. I mean, I literally just about fell out of my chair when I saw some of the stuff that this was doing. But the way this video works is that you can you use the Notable web app. It works in your browser. And then in ChatGPT, you enable plugins. You have to enable the plugins. And then you have the Notable plugin in there. Then in your Notable notebook, you can, because you have the Notable plugin in ChatGPT, you can paste the link to your notebook into ChatGPT, and it will go in and look through all of your data. It will create, and then it communicates back to your Notable notebook and gives you like just charts and and so on. So, yeah. All right, let me look to the chat here. So is it, do you not see the comments posted in LinkedIn? I have not seen any comments come through LinkedIn. No, I have not. But it does say I'm connected to LinkedIn at the top. So let me go do this. Hold on. But yes, I am not seeing comments in my interface here through LinkedIn. Sorry. I have noticed that StreamYard and LinkedIn can get a bit finicky, and sometimes you have to reconnect it. So maybe that's what I have to do. But no, I have not seen any. Sorry, Scott. So anyway, go back to what I was saying here. If you've never, gone in to play with Notable, I would encourage you to do that. And then when you connect it with ChatGPT using the plugin, absolutely just bonkers, crazy. And it'll go in and it'll write the Python code for you in the cells. It'll tell you, like, not only will it give you like the output, it'll go in and like tell you what the code should be. It's absolutely crazy. It's awesome. Scary, but it's cool. All right. My nose. I have a piece of lint. Oh, okay. All right. So that's that. It is really cool. I could sit here and show you like 100 different videos I've watched that just blew my mind. But yeah, this is one of those ones that uses ChatGPT plugin and an online service that connect to each other, and it just blows. It's crazy. So, okay. Back here. As you can tell, I'm very excited about this stuff. And it's really like motivating me right now. When these things come along in your personal and professional life that you can't stop thinking about. Like, I dream about this stuff. It just has its hooks into you. You just have to roll with it. Take that energy and take that drive, and just let it run. So that's what I'm doing. All right. Go back to the chat here. Piper says, the Bayesian book you recommended, Bayesian Statistics, The Fun Way, is great. Excellent. I'm glad you found it very, very helpful. Yeah, it's a very good book, especially when you're first learning Bayesian. I should probably go back and read it again. But I'm glad you liked it. Glad you liked it. That's the thing. Like when I recommend something to you on this live stream or on my channel or LinkedIn or whatever else, I'm not going to recommend you crap. I'm not going to have you waste your time. It's something that I felt that's really good, and trust me, my bar for something being like a good educational tool is very high. So if it gets over that bar, then you know it's something that's worth checking out. So, Piper, I'm glad you found the book helpful, and you learned a lot from it. All right, so let's go back here. Short Circuit says, I've seen all your videos of regression, and it's fantastic. I want to learn basics about random variables, PDF, PMF, etc. From where can I learn? Please help. Probably nesting functions, probably mass functions. So that kind of stuff is like more in the weeds than what I would probably do on my channel. So my channel is really designed for, like, students who are doing introductory stats or business stats and just need some help in their class, or individuals who want to get into things like machine learning or whatever else, but don't have really a stats background. They just kind of want sort of the background. So these are things that I may or may not ever sort of cover. But let me show you. Let me see if it's in here. Probably. I don't know. Well, one thing you can check out, Short Circuit, is this book. Very famous. I think it has there's a new one out, actually. So the ISL book, The Introduction to Statistical Learning, is a great place to start if you want to get into a bit more of the weeds, some of the math, and there are code examples in this, if you're into that kind of stuff. So you might find it in here. The one thing about this book, though, is the index is not very thorough, so I can't look those up because the index is pretty sparse. But this is a good place that you might start if you want to get into, there we go. If you want to get more into like the weeds and some of the mathematics and some code examples, this is a good place to start. Yes, absolutely. So this is a book, and Piper correctly says, so JB Stats is a great channel. I'm sure StatQuest probably has some stuff as well. He has great videos on pretty much everything. And he covers things that are outside of the scope of like my channel. So yeah, JB Stats, StatQuest. Is the Statistics is Fun channel? Maybe. Might have some stuff for you on that. And of course, just ask ChatGPT. Right? I mean, yeah, so you can check those channels as well. But it is really weird nowadays. If you need to learn about something, just to ask ChatGPT, Bard, or Bing. So it's just so easily accessible. I think there's a difference, though. Like, if you really want to learn something, it's going to take more than generative AI, at least right now, right? If you really want to learn sort of something. If you just need like a quick summary of a concept or something like that, then these tools are fantastic for that. You can just type it in there and it comes right back, to you. All right. So, all right. Scott asks, Hi, Brandon, 48-year-old. I'm just behind you, Scott, in age. But data noob here, arriving late to stats and data science, learning lots from your channel. Question: have you looked at the SVD optimal selection of components for PCA? I have not gotten into principal components on my channel. So again, for something like that, which is probably beyond the scope of my channel, check out the channels that were recommended. So StatQuest might have some stuff on that because he tends to go, I know he has a great PCA video that has like a quadrillion views. So you can check out StatQuest and or some of the other channels that go into other more niche kind of weedsy type things. Okay. So I can't really speak to that, unfortunately. See, Steve Britton's channel talked about 2014 technique. Yeah, we're starting. I found a Python package that's published on screen not designed to use the tech. Okay. Yeah, scree plots, stuff like that. So do I have thoughts on that? I can't really speak to that, unfortunately. So, obviously I've learned PCA and done it in other sort of contexts, but it's not something I myself have made a video about, at least yet, because there's only so much time. And others have done really good videos on it already, so I'm not exactly sure what I would add to that. But, the idea of, especially when we're working in higher order spaces, kind of learning how these dimensionality reduction things sort of work, how we're trying to parse apart variance and stuff like that is really important to learn and know, right? I have not gotten into that because I consider that more a little bit beyond what a, intro stats student or intro business stats student would ever be able to do. However, that is definitely in the purview of like a introductory business analytics type course. And I absolutely, at some point, will make content around that. But as everyone knows, YouTube is not my full-time job. It would even feed me if I did. I don't make enough money on YouTube right now to actually eat. That's how little it is now, because they've changed the algorithm. So I can only do what I can do when I can, right? All right. Yeah, so Scott, it means Z. Yeah, Z statistic. That's right. Absolutely. It's okay, Piper. It's a weekend. We'll forgive you. So let me see something here. I'll look up something. Yeah, so I want to check on something. But yeah, so that's probably beyond what I'm going to do. Yeah, require good grasp of linear algebra. Everything is. Yeah, matrix operations and stuff in these higher dimensional spaces. That's all it is. Oh, shit. I wanted to show you this too. Hold on. So, you've probably been seeing it everywhere. Hell, where's it at? Cloud AI course. Where did it go? There's actually that's it right there. Okay, so one of the things I've been doing, and you've probably seen it, is I have too many windows open. Aha, there we go. If you really want to get into some of the weedsy stuff, okay, because this idea of linear algebra and matrix operations and encoder decoders and stuff made me think of this. So Google Cloud has this generative AI learning path. All right. So it's 10 courses, 10 courses. A course in this example is like a 10, 15-minute video and like a quiz at the end. That's all each one of these is. So it has this learning path that covers all these sort of concepts. And you've probably seen it all over LinkedIn, people posting like their badges and stuff like this. One of the things I like about this is that it's kind of like the spectrum of, I won't say difficulty, but like levels. So some of it's really high level, just concept and stuff like this. And then some of the more advanced stuff literally has like diagrams of how these neural networks are working. They have, and then they have like a second video in the course that has like all the Python that they're doing. They're not coding it by hand, but they just like are running the cells so you can see how it's going. And this is free, you know. So so this is another resource I recommend if you want to do. I put it in the chat, in the YouTube chat, if you want to learn some more stuff. All right. The other one is the Deep Learning AI course, which I've also been working on. This is all I do, people. It's so weird. I'm a weird person. Learning AI. They have courses, short courses. Yes, this is it. So the Deep Learning AI with Andrew and stuff, they have courses that are also free for a limited time. So if you click on that, of course, duh, I'm not signing in. I'm trying to show my peeps. All right. So these also have follow along resources that you can, and actually here, the way they've done deep learning AI stuff, if you haven't done any of their courses before, is that it's a pane. On the right hand side of the window is like the video that's playing, and then on the left hand side they actually have like an embedded Jupyter notebook that you can work in, like side by side. It's really, really cool. So this is actually, I think, where I first heard about Langchain, actually. So there's like 4 courses here, I believe, that you can try, and these are a bit more in depth, you know, like following everything, as far as like the code and stuff like that. So I'll put this also in the chat for you. And once you learn these, once you learn through these tools, you'll start seeing the same things. Like, you know, you'll see the same thing in like this course, similar things in maybe the Google course, definitely things on YouTube, and you'll start seeing this repeating pattern of tools and things, that the way they're done and built. And as you experience more of them over and over again, it really starts to like sink in sort of how this stuff is going on conceptually, but also, you know, the packages and the way the tools are built and what you're actually doing in there. So the more you watch and absorb, the more it's going to stick. Okay. So this is another great resource that I've taken advantage of. I think I've done 3 of these courses. I want to say 3 of these courses. But yeah, so you can check those out as well. They are fantastic. Woo. All right. This has been a lot of me talking today, which I try not to do. But what my main goal today in this live stream was to really like to share with you all my journey of trying to learn as much about AI as possible, because that is what we all need to be learning on some level. Whether you do it like I'm doing it, which is like every waking moment, I'm not sleeping or at work, that's up to you. But I wanted to share some of the things that I found helpful, that I've sort of vetted by watching, you know, many videos or courses I've taken, so that you can start that path yourself to ride the wave and not drown. Because because the quicker we can all learn how to utilize these sort of these technologies, you know, we can harness them, or we can fear them and sort of, you know, be freaked out by them. So this is what I'm doing, because this is, I can like generally tell you that my dogged interest in learning this stuff has already reaped benefits. Okay, actually, more than one benefit. I'm not going to or go into like a whole lot of depth about those things, but because I've learned this stuff, it's already reaping benefits, personally and professionally. So, yeah, dig in. So privacy is interesting. It's always good to see what other learning enthusiasts are up to and what their techniques are. Yes, and the resources they find helpful. You know, I think because of what I do, I'm also a good filter for learning resources. So I go out and explore, and there are ones that I just don't think are very good. They're confusing, or not very helpful or practical, and I don't really mention those. But if I think they're really good, and if I think they're good, then they're going to be good for you. So, or they're more likely, I guess, to be good for you. All right. So what I'll go back and do is I will go back after this video is done. I will put all those resources in the description for everyone so you can find them easier if you don't want to go back through the chat and everything. And you know, hopefully they bring you some knowledge and some interest, and to get on this horse and ride it, right? So that's sort of my philosophy when it comes to the AI stuff. So, and of course, as an educator, part of what I'm doing is learning how to harness it, because it is a part of all of our lives. Students are obviously going to have access to it. It's just a matter of how we utilize it. All right. Okay. So I don't see any last comments or questions or whatever else. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and end the stream, but I'll be back on July 15th. It's a month from this weekend, and we'll do this again. And I think hopefully at that time I'll have some stuff to share. I can maybe walk through, share my screen, kind of show you kind of some of the projects I've been working on. And hopefully by then I'll have my GitHub better organized and you'll have access. Okay. I'll give you access to that kind of stuff if you want to follow along. So I hope you all have a great. Well, Scott, just real quick, says Steve Brunton, not so much yesterday, new up the second edition of his book, Data Driven Science Engineering, Python examples built in. Okay. Absolutely. So after this, I will find that and try to put that in the resources as well, Scott. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. All right. Actually, I'm going to put it on my, always have my little notebook here. That way I don't lose it in the internet ether. And look it up. So for what it's worth, you'll need a good math background for it. Absolutely, I'm sure. Yeah. Hey, it's all matrix algebra. Learn them. If you want to go back and learn something you haven't learned, go learn about matrix algebra, because that's what it all is. All right. Well, I hope you all have a wonderful, fantastic rest of your weekend. And happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there here in the U.S. I'm not sure if other countries do the Father's Day thing, but happy Father's Day to the fathers out there. Monday is also Juneteenth. So if you celebrate that, or if you don't know a whole lot about that, you should look into it. It's a fantastic holiday, and our work actually gives us that off, which is really nice. So happy Juneteenth as well, in addition to Father's Day. And you have a great rest of your weekend. And I thank you all for watching. All right, take care, and bye-bye.